Hey everyone, it's Izzy. I am back answering questions from the internet. In the last video, we took a look at mortgage basics and where to start. Today, we're going to take a deeper look into the pre-approval process. If you look in the description below, I have the timestamps for the different questions, so if you already know some of this information, feel free to skip through. So, what is a pre-approval letter? In a sense, it's a bank's stamp of approval on you as a buyer. Unless you're paying all cash for your home, you can only buy as much as the bank approves you for. For you, it's going to help you identify your max spending limit, what your monthly payment's going to look like, and other numbers like down payment and that type of thing. If you're a first-time home buyer or you ever were, please press the like button to help your fellow house hunters find this content. In the last video, I introduced Jennifer Quattrone from Howard Hanna Mortgage. We're jumping back into that Zoom interview to answer questions from the internet. In my experience, for some reason, people tend to put off the pre-approval process. I think it's because they have a bit of a misconception about how complicated it is, that it's going to be this long, drawn-out process and a lot of paperwork, but that's not really the case.
Right. So it's such an easy process, to be honest with you. It's a 5-minute conversation, and I typically will get your pre-approval done in 20 minutes. I'm going to get your personal information, birthday, social security number, those items. I'm going to get a 2-year residence history, a 2-year work history, and what your assets are that you feel comfortable closing. I'm going to pull your credit and give you options. It's a no obligation. I'm pretty easygoing, but it's a great starting point. If I pull your credit and you're not pre-approvable, or I can pre-approve you, but I know that you'd be better off to wait a couple months and we can put you into a different program, I'll be able to tell you that, to give you ideas on what to do to get you to that point. So it's usually a quick process, and it's usually quite painless, that part of it.
This is kind of a long question, so we'll break it up into parts, but starts by asking, I'm compiling a list of places to check into, but do I just walk in and say, I'm here to shop for a mortgage, what's your best rate? And then maybe you can also talk a little bit about why rates might vary bank to bank.
You can call around. Interest rates do vary. They don't vary that much. Sometimes I see that interest rates are hidden in cost. So one bank will say it's 3.25 and one bank will say it's 3.375, but the 3.25 has more cost. So the banks are making the same amount of money. It's just how they're collecting it, either upfront in cost or in interest rate. And rates do vary. I get my rates multiple times a day because the market changes, and there's just a lot of functions in that. I think more important than finding the best rate is finding the best person to service you and take care of you through the process, because if you get a little bit lower interest rate and it saves you $4 a month, was it really worth it if you went through 4 weeks of aggravation and maybe closed on time, maybe not closed on time? I think you need to be looking at the service more than the rate. You most certainly can get pre-approved multiple places. They're all going to want to pull your credit. I really don't know anything until I pull your credit to know what programs you qualify, what interest rate, what mortgage insurance, any of that. If it's you and your husband, most places are going to want your husband's permission to pull credit also. So I would think that you would both need to be together, or like I said, if you did it over the phone or email, there's ways, to get that done. Any mortgage company that's going to issue a pre-approval without pulling your credit or offering you a rate without pulling your credit is just crazy. They don't really know. They're just throwing things out there, and then they may change it on you midstream. A credit pull does not affect, we've all been brought up that don't get your credit pulled, it's going to mess up your credit. And it always is going to say on your credit report, credit scores reflected of too many inquiries. I see that on every credit report I pull, and won't have any inquiries. So I don't really see that dropping your credit score that much. And a mortgage inquiry, it's supposed to be that all mortgage inquiries within 45 days, because they do know that you shop for a mortgage, count as one inquiry. Your credit report is good for 120 days. When I print a pre-approval letter, it says 90, but that's like 90 to shop, 30 to close, but it is good for 120 days. And typically I update those, throughout the process. So if you don't find a house in 120 days, it will continue to be updated.
This user asks, should I get a mortgage broker or go big bank?
So, of course, I'm always partial to the loan officer, the one that sits in the office with the agents and or works with agents on a day-to-day basis, which I do. Of course, I'm not sitting in the office with anybody right now, but in theory, I am, because how many Zoom calls have I been on this week? Yeah. And the reason I think that is so important is you're not calling 1-800-BANK and talking to a different person every time. You're not talking to someone who is working out of Ohio and possibly doesn't know all the ins and outs of Western Pennsylvania. And when there is a problem, because sometimes there's hiccups in the mortgage process, Izzy and I are going to talk and work together to get it solved. I'm not going to be avoiding her because I'm still going to have to eat lunch with her next week. So I don't want, I can't go hide somewhere. So that it's the one-stop shopping is very, very beneficial.
That's such an important point, because I think people don't realize that when their mortgage person only works 9 to 5, they're not going to be able to reach them when they're looking for a home after work, which is when most clients are looking for houses. So it's important to have that relationship with someone that's going to be available night and day, Saturday and Sunday, and it doesn't just sit behind a desk during regular business hours.
And that big bank is not going to be available at 7 o'clock on Saturday night when you have that question that pops into your head and you're just like, oh my gosh, what if this happens? You can feel free to call me.
So there you have it. I think everyone goes into things realizing that interest rate is really important, but don't forget how important the customer service is when you're going through the process. If you're not in the Pittsburgh area, just ask your real estate agent for a recommendation of a lender to talk to. They're going to know who can close deals, who's reputable, who's reliable, and who's going to answer the phone when you need them. Please press the subscribe button, because there's still more questions on the internet about real estate, which means more videos to come. I'm Izzy. Thanks for watching and have a great day.